Stevie Nicks. Part A. Family. Stevie Nicks' mother was a homemaker. Her father was a corporate executive. Her mother was Barbara Nicks. Her father was Jess Nicks. Her parents met at Arizona State University. They would be married at 1947. She has a brother named Christopher Nicks. Her paternal grandfather was Aaron Nicks. Aaron Nicks was a country star. Aaron taught Stevie multiple country songs. Aaron Nicks handcrafted Stevie a guitar. Part B. Early life. Stevie Nicks was born on May 26, 1948. Her full name was Stephanie Lynn Nicks. After a sixth-grade talent show, Stevie Nicks wanted to be a performer. Her grandfather taught her how to sing successfully. Nicks seemed to be enthusiastic about music. Her family traveled a lot. They traveled to states like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Utah, and California. Part C. Pre-Fleetwood Mac. Stevie Nicks' high school was Arcadia High School. She would meet longtime bandmate Lindsey Buckingham at this high school. Nicks met Lindsey when she abruptly started singing with him at the high school. Buckingham is a guitarist, songwriter, and bandmate of Nicks. Nicks would enroll in San Jose College. She would drop out in 1968. Her and Buckingham joined the band Fritz in California. Fritz would open for bigger acts such as Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix. Fritz disbanded in 1971. Stevie Nicks worked as a dental assistant, waitress, and maid after Fritz disbanded. She would produce an album with Buckingham. Buckingham Nicks was the title of the album. The album gained little. Part D. Fleetwood Mac. Buckingham was in talks with the band Fleetwood Mac. He was thinking about joining, but Buckingham refused to join the band unless Nicks was accepted as a member. Both were close to being broke when they joined the band. Nicks and Buckingham's careers would skyrocket. She wrote the band's most acclaimed song, Dreams. Rumors the album is one of the best-selling albums of all time. She wrote the hit single Rhiannon After reading a novel about a Welsh witch, she penned the hit song Landslide. With the turmoil inside the band, Rumors was a collection of songs about love and similar ideas. The next album was the less successful Tusk. Nix would go off on her own and occasionally rejoin Fleetwood Mac. She would rejoin Fleetwood Mac to make around 3 more records. Part E, Solo Career. Nix wrote the song Belladonna, which was produced by Jimmy Love. It reached number 1 at the Billboard charts. Nix produced the album Wild Heart, which was focused to tell circumstances that separate ones from loved ones. Stand Back was the first single on that album. In 1994, she made the album Street Angel after coming off drugs. Jimi Hendrix dedicated a song to her. Nix made 6 solo albums. Some of her songs were inspired by events in her life and whatever she had been reading, watching, or hearing at the time. Some songs were based on her troubles, such as her unstable relationship with bandmate Buckingham. Part F, abusive relationships. She had numerous bad relationships. Prince, one of her better relationship was the musician Prince. Prince would administer tough love. He would talk to her while she had a cold, but absolutely refused to give her cough medicine. He would say he didn't want her to be addicted to a new drug. Nix had been a part of abusive relationships, but this wasn't one of them. Don Healy. She would have a relationship with Eagles member Don Healy. He would pick her up in a Learjet for a night of romance. However, they would just remain friends. This was due to Haley wanting to settle down. Buckingham. She had a relationship with longtime bandmate Buckingham. Buckingham was reported to be abusive to her. During a performance in 1980s, Lindsey Buckingham threw his guitar at Nix. The guitar barely missed her. He had kicked at her in front of an immense audience. They had originally met at a high school party. To quote Nix on the relationship, quote, "Currently, Lindsay and I have no relationship. Basically, I think Lindsay and I sung our last song. We had taken that relationship as far as it could go without one of us killing the other. Plus, he had treated me so badly for so long. I'd walk into a room and he'd become the most sarcastic, unpleasant man on the face of the earth. I have total respect for him as an artist. I don't know if he has any for me. He feels I broke up our team, so for that, in his mind, I should be tortured for days and then killed." End quote, Stevie Nicks. B. Ronald Aniceto. She had troubles with obsessive fans. A former mental institution patient, Ronald Ancelto, was stalked Nix. He wanted to impregnate her and abduct her. He believed kidnapping her could be his salvation. Part G. Almost marriage. She once was married, but really quickly after a crazy decision. Her best friend, Robin, had died of leukemia. Robin had given birth to a son. Nix wanted to marry her best friend's widow to help raise the child. She later regarded this decision as a crazy decision. Part H. Drug problem. Nix has been sober for many years, battling various drug addictions. Cocaine. She took so much of the drug cocaine, it burned a hole in her nose the size of a dime. She was told by a doctor at this rate she could expect brain damage and possible death. Nix now has been sober and got over her addictions, including cocaine. Klonopin. Nix later got hooked on Klonopin, which is a prescription drug. It is a tranquilizer used to treat panic attacks. Nix would beat this addiction in the mid-90s and has been sober since. Part I. Possessions and valuables. Nix adores dogs. She has a separate wardrobe that is full of smaller versions of her costumes. She values both. She owns a Dutch castle in Hollywood Hills. The building has been used in many adult films. Interestingly, Nix has a grand piano, which has several bullet holes. This is due to it being caught in a drive-by shooting. The next part is impact on musicians and singers. Stevie Nicks has an everlasting impact on the music world. Numerous performers and singers are influenced by her. She has been a part of pop culture being referenced in multiple mediums. Nix has influential charity work. Nix spent a lot of time and money working with hospitalized war veterans. She even loaded up many of their iPods and musical devices with her own collection to help them pass the time. Nix started the Stevie Nicks Soldier Foundation. The organization was used to help rehabilitate soldiers who fought in Iraq. Nix and her music has been referenced by multiple TV shows, movies, etc. One major singer who was influenced by Stevie Nicks was Taylor Swift. She also inspired Mary J. Blige, Beyonce, Sheryl Crow, and the Dixie Chicks. This is the conclusion of a small overview of Stevie Nicks' life, from her beginnings to her successes, to her struggles, and her influence. Hope you enjoyed learning about Stevie